If you're over the age of 60 and you've been faithfully taking supplements like magnesium glycinate, vitamin D3, and vitamin K2, there's an important conversation we need to have. These are not bad supplements. In fact, they're some of the most powerful tools we have to protect bones, muscles, sleep quality, and cardiovascular health as we age. But here's the problem. Most people are using them in a way that quietly works against their body instead of supporting it. I hear the same frustration again and again from older adults. "Doctor, I'm doing everything I was told. I take my vitamin D every day. I added K2 because I heard it protects my arteries. I switched to magnesium glycinate because it's supposed to help me sleep. So why do I still wake up exhausted? Why do my legs cramp at night? Why is my blood pressure slowly rising?" And the very first thing I always ask is this: how and when are you taking them? Because here's what almost no one explains. After 60, your body does not process nutrients the way it once did. Timing becomes just as important as dosage. Think of it like cooking. Even the best ingredients can ruin a meal if they're added at the wrong moment. Magnesium sends calming signals. Vitamin D3 activates the system. Vitamin K2 tells calcium where to go. When they're taken together at the wrong time, they don't collaborate, they compete. And that's when problems start to appear. Calcium can begin settling in areas it shouldn't. Sleep becomes lighter and less restorative. Muscles refuse to fully relax. Nighttime cramps increase. The heart may feel irregular or unsettled. Too often, these changes are blamed on aging itself, when in reality, the body is simply receiving mixed instructions. I'm Dr. Walter, and for years I've worked with adults over 60 who followed every recommendation they were given, yet still felt worse. In today's discussion, I'm going to walk you through the most common mistakes people make when combining magnesium glycinate, vitamin D3, and K2. Why those mistakes matter more after 60, and how one simple timing adjustment can dramatically improve sleep, muscle comfort, and bone strength. If you've been taking all three together or never considered timing at all, stay with me. This may be one of the most important changes you make for your health this year. Before we begin, let me know in the comments where you're watching from and which of these supplements you're currently taking. And if this topic matters to you, please like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future episodes. Let's start with vitamin D3 because this is where most confusion begins. Many adults over 60 have been told to take vitamin D for bone health. What they're rarely told is just how powerful this nutrient truly is, or how differently the aging body responds to it. Vitamin D3 is often called a vitamin, but after 60, it behaves far more like a hormone. It directly influences calcium absorption, muscle contraction, immune balance, inflammation control, mood, and energy regulation. As we age, several things happen at once. The skin becomes less efficient at producing vitamin D from sunlight. We tend to spend less time outdoors. The kidneys become less effective at converting vitamin D into its active form. Even people who eat well and take care of themselves can become deficient without realizing it. When used properly, vitamin D3 is incredibly protective. It supports bone density, improves muscle strength and balance, lowers fall risk, and helps regulate immune and inflammatory responses. These benefits are essential after 60. But this is where problems often begin. Vitamin D3 has one primary function. It increases calcium absorption. If that calcium isn't carefully managed, it can start accumulating in places it shouldn't belong, such as arteries, joints, or soft tissues. Over time, this can lead to stiffness, fatigue, restless sleep, or a constant sense of internal tension that many people mistakenly accept as just aging. Another key detail is that vitamin D3 is activating. Taken too late in the day can quietly interfere with sleep. Taken without fat, it may not absorb at all. And taken without coordination with other nutrients, it can create imbalance instead of strength. After 60, the body is far less forgiving of these mistakes. What once caused no noticeable issue can now disrupt sleep, muscle comfort, or cardiovascular stability. This is why timing matters. Vitamin D3 works best earlier in the day, ideally with breakfast or lunch alongside healthy fats like eggs, olive oil, avocado, or full-fat yogurt. This supports absorption and aligns with your natural circadian rhythm, allowing vitamin D3 to work during the active part of the day instead of interfering with nighttime rest. Most importantly, vitamin D3 should never be treated as a standalone solution. It creates movement in the system, but that movement must be guided. And that's when vitamin K2 becomes essential. Once vitamin D3 increases calcium absorption, the body faces a critical question. Where should that calcium go? Once vitamin D3 does its job and increases calcium absorption, the body is immediately faced with a decision that becomes increasingly important after the age of 60. Calcium is now circulating in the bloodstream. The question is no longer whether calcium is available, but where that calcium will ultimately end up. Calcium is not automatically intelligent. It does not know where to go on its own. Without clear guidance, it will settle wherever conditions allow. In a younger body, this process is tightly regulated, but after 60, that regulation becomes weaker and less reliable. This is where many well-intentioned health routines begin to fail. If calcium is properly guided, it strengthens bones, supports posture, and protects against fractures. But if it is left unmanaged, it can gradually deposit in places where it creates problems rather than protection. Arteries can become stiff. Joints can feel tight and inflamed. Kidneys may be placed under unnecessary strain. And paradoxically, bones may still weaken despite adequate calcium intake. This is the hidden risk of taking vitamin D3 alone. Vitamin D3 opens the door. It increases calcium entry into the bloodstream, but it does not decide where that calcium is stored. That responsibility belongs to another nutrient, one that is rarely emphasized but absolutely essential after 60, vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 acts like a traffic controller for calcium. It activates specialized proteins that physically escort calcium out of the bloodstream and into bone tissue, where it belongs. At the same time, these proteins block calcium from embedding itself into soft tissues, such as arteries, heart valves, joints, and kidneys. Two of the most important proteins involved in this process are osteocalcin and matrix GLA protein. Osteocalcin helps bind calcium directly into bone, increasing density and strength. Matrix GLA protein works in the opposite direction, preventing calcium from hardening blood vessels and soft tissues. Both of these proteins require vitamin K2 to function. Without K2, they remain inactive no matter how much calcium or vitamin D3 is present. After 60, the body's ability to activate these proteins naturally declines. This means calcium can circulate longer than it should, increasing the likelihood of misplacement. Over time, this misdirection may contribute to arterial calcification, reduced vascular flexibility, kidney stone formation, or chronic joint stiffness. This is why some older adults are surprised to learn that their bone density continues to decline even though they take calcium and vitamin D3 faithfully. The calcium is there, the vitamin D is working, but the delivery system is incomplete. Diet adds another layer to this issue. Vitamin K2 is not widely available in modern diets. It is found mainly in fermented foods, aged cheeses, and certain animal-based fats, foods that many adults over 60 eat sparingly or avoid altogether. As a result, K2 deficiency is far more common than most people realize, especially among those already supplementing with vitamin D3. For adults over 60, the most reliable form of vitamin K2 is MK7. This form remains active in the body for a longer period, providing steady guidance for calcium throughout the day. Because vitamin K2 is fat-soluble, it must be taken with a meal that contains healthy fats to be properly absorbed and utilized. Timing matters here as well. Vitamin K2 works best earlier in the day, ideally taken alongside vitamin D3. This pairing allows vitamin D3 to increase calcium availability, while vitamin K2 immediately directs that calcium into bones instead of allowing it to linger in the bloodstream. When these two nutrients are used together correctly, they form a protective system. Bones receive the calcium they need to remain strong. Blood vessels remain more flexible. Joints experience less stiffness. The heart is placed under less strain. Without vitamin K2, however, vitamin D3 becomes incomplete. It creates movement without direction. And after 60, movement without guidance is not strengthening, it is destabilizing. This is why vitamin K2 is not optional for older adults using vitamin D3. It is the nutrient that turns calcium absorption into bone protection instead of vascular stress. In the next section, we'll talk about the final piece of this system, magnesium, and why, without it, even properly directed calcium can still create tension, cramps, and sleep disruption after 60.
Magnesium is the mineral that holds everything together. Magnesium is often described as a calming nutrient, but after 60, its role is far more expansive. It's involved in over 300 enzymatic processes, many of which affect muscle relaxation, nerve signaling, heart rhythm, and energy production. Without sufficient magnesium, the body cannot fully benefit from vitamin D3 or vitamin K2. One of the most common signs of magnesium deficiency in older adults is nighttime muscle cramping. Many people assume this is inevitable with age, but in reality, it often reflects a nervous system that cannot fully relax. Magnesium allows muscles to release after contraction. When levels are low, muscles remain tight and reactive. Sleep is another area where magnesium becomes critical. As we age, the nervous system tends to stay in a low-grade alert state. Magnesium helps shift the body out of fight or flight and into rest and repair. This is why it's closely associated with deeper sleep, fewer awakenings, and better overnight recovery. Among all forms, magnesium glycinate is particularly well suited for adults over 60. It's gentle on digestion, less likely to cause loose stools, and highly absorbable. The glycine component also supports calming neurotransmitters in the brain, further enhancing relaxation and sleep quality. Magnesium also balances calcium's effects. While vitamin D3 increases calcium absorption and K2 directs it into bone, magnesium ensures muscles, blood vessels, and the heart respond appropriately. Without magnesium, calcium can feel overstimulating, contributing to stiffness, palpitations, or internal tension. Timing is crucial. Magnesium works best in the evening, about 30 to 60 minutes before bedtime. This allows it to support muscle relaxation, stabilize heart rhythm, and enhance nighttime repair. Taken earlier in the day or alongside stimulating nutrients, its benefits are often muted. And this brings us to one of the biggest mistakes I see. The most common mistake: taking all three supplements at the same time. The single biggest mistake I see in adults over 60 is taking magnesium glycinate, vitamin D3, and vitamin K2 all at once, usually in the evening right before bed. On the surface, this seems logical. Life is busy. People want a simple routine. One moment, one handful of pills, done for the day. Some supplement labels even encourage this approach, making it feel not only convenient, but correct. But after 60, the body no longer responds well to this everything-at-once strategy. Here's why this becomes such a problem. These three nutrients send very different messages to the body, and they are not meant to speak at the same time, especially at night. Vitamin D3 signals activation. It tells the body to absorb calcium, increase metabolic activity, and engage multiple systems at once. Magnesium sends the opposite message. It tells muscles to release, nerves to quiet down, and the heart to settle into a steady rhythm. K2 acts as a coordinator, stepping in after calcium levels rise to guide that calcium into bones and away from soft tissues. When all three are taken together, the body receives conflicting instructions. It's as if one part of the system is being told to wake up and move, while another is being told to slow down and rest. After 60, the nervous system becomes far less tolerant of this kind of confusion. Instead of adapting smoothly, the body begins to show signs of strain. Vitamin D3 taken at night can quietly interfere with melatonin production. Many people don't feel jittery or overstimulated, but their sleep becomes lighter, more fragmented, and less restorative. They wake up multiple times, toss and turn, or wake too early feeling unrested. Magnesium, which should be calming the nervous system, is forced to work against that stimulation. As a result, its relaxing effects are weakened. There's also an absorption issue that few people talk about. Magnesium can compete with vitamin D3 during absorption and early metabolism. When taken together, this competition can reduce how effectively vitamin D3 is activated in the body. People may believe they're supporting bone health, yet their vitamin D levels remain stubbornly low. At the same time, magnesium never fully delivers its calming benefits. K2 is affected as well. K2 works best when calcium levels have already risen and need direction. When everything is taken simultaneously, the timing signal becomes blurred. Calcium may circulate longer in the bloodstream instead of being efficiently guided into bone tissue. Over weeks and months, this doesn't usually cause dramatic symptoms. Instead, it shows up quietly. Muscles stay tight at night. Leg cramps become more frequent. Sleep never feels deep enough. The heart may feel irregular or unsettled. Blood pressure may slowly creep upward. Energy during the day declines even though supplementation appears correct. Too often, these changes are blamed on aging, stress, or hormones, but in many cases, the real issue is that the body is being asked to do opposite things at the same time. After 60, the margin for error becomes far smaller. The body no longer corrects these mixed signals automatically. What once caused no noticeable effect can now create ongoing discomfort and fatigue. This is why supplement timing matters just as much as supplement choice. Magnesium glycinate, vitamin D3, and vitamin K2 are not harmful. They are valuable, supportive nutrients. But when they are taken together, especially at night, their benefits are diminished and their signals clash instead of aligning. The problem isn't what you're taking, it's when you're taking it. And once this mistake is corrected, many people are surprised by how quickly their sleep, muscle comfort, and overall sense of balance begin to improve.
The solution is simpler than most people expect. You don't need more supplements, you don't need higher doses, you need clearer signals. Vitamin D3 and vitamin K2 belong earlier in the day, taken with a meal that includes healthy fats. This supports absorption, aligns with circadian rhythm, and allows calcium to be managed properly. Magnesium glycinate belongs in the evening, taken before bed when the body is preparing for repair and recovery. This simple separation allows each nutrient to do its job without interference. For most adults over 60, this adjustment alone leads to better sleep, fewer cramps, steadier energy, and improved comfort within a few weeks. Let me share a real example. Several years ago, I worked with a 69-year-old retired school administrator I'll call Eleanor. She was disciplined, active, and proactive about her health. Every night, she took vitamin D3, K2, and magnesium together before bed. Over time, her sleep became fragmented. She developed severe nighttime leg cramps, internal restlessness, rising blood pressure, and occasional palpitations. Testing showed early calcium deposition in her blood vessels, despite her best intentions. We changed one thing: timing. Vitamin D3 and K2 moved to the morning with breakfast. Magnesium glycinate moved to the evening. Within 2 weeks, her cramps eased. Within a month, her sleep stabilized. Her blood pressure improved. Most importantly, she felt settled in her body again. Here's the message I want to leave you with. After 60, your body isn't broken. It's more sensitive. And sensitivity means small choices now carry greater impact. These supplements are not the problem. Timing is. With thoughtful adjustments, your body can respond, often quickly than you expect. If today's discussion resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me what stood out most. And if this helped, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so we can continue these conversations together. I'm Dr. Walter. Until next time, stay steady, stay informed, and take care of yourself with wisdom.